welcome back to Survivor 50 Seasons in 50 Days. I just finished watching Survivor Nicaragua, which me and Kyle were just talking about before we went live. The first time I did this was the halfway point of the marathon, and all 3 times I've done this, it has been the season that I've hit the proverbial wall. So I am exhausted. To say that I did not want to wake up this morning. I just want to lay. But we're here now. We finished Nicaragua. Fabio just won. We're joined by Kyle, who was just here with us in Samoa.
Yes.
Kyle, why Nicaragua?
Awesome question. I'm sure everyone is wondering. Because I figured nobody else would want to do it. I was like, this is not a popular season. And I think I'm higher on it than most. So, I can bring like a positive perspective maybe to it. Still not a top tier season, but it's one that holds a special place for me.
I feel like it's and I mentioned this during Gabon, how Gabon is the live action Total Drama Island. Well, Nicaragua is the parody of Gabon, which makes it somehow even worse by a large margin, only because there's nobody there that knows what they're doing for the most part. Even the strategists that were like being told, oh yeah, like Marty, he's a great, even people like that, they're just doing things. It's just like, that doesn't make any sense.
Terrible.
Why would you do that? This whole narrative of Chase being dumb, I felt like it just randomly came up during Final Tribal. I thought it was being wishy-washy, and that was kind of it. But just to start off with, and I've gone on this rant for the last 20 days about how everything that you hate in modern day Survivor started with Nicaragua and just continued. And we start off with the Medallion of Power. We start off with old versus new, or old versus young. 2 twists that ultimately don't play any type of real factor in the game. What did you think about this new era of Survivor, starting off with both a tribe dynamic like this and the Medallion of Power? Before you knew what the Medallion of Power was.
Yeah, I'm glad you called it a new era, because the show didn't call it that, but it is kind of what it was. It was like the show trying to find itself after Heroes versus Villains, right? That capped off the first decade of the show, and now it's like, what do you do next? So old versus young, I thought, was extraordinarily random to do. Like, felt like maybe they hadn't figured out what they wanted to do yet, and so they're like, let's just do something that we've, well, they hadn't done it before, really, except for like the old, young, and women in Panama. Yeah. And then Medallion of Power, I gotta say, I was intrigued. It sounds cool, right? Medallion of Power. So it could be an immunity idol that's like even better, right? And I think it's somewhat of an interesting idea for a twist. I know Dalton Ross has said that it's like the worst twist in Survivor history. I don't think it's that bad in practice. It doesn't really work. It's just like, you use it, you win the challenge, basically. But it is in theory, it's like, oh, you use it, but you give it to the other tribe. So there is some strategy to it, but it sounds a lot cooler than what it actually is.
And what it actually is it survives 4 episodes, and it's gone during the swap, after the older tribe, not decimated, but they had lost 3 of the 4
3 of
rounds.
the 4, yeah.
Fun story before we kind of go into it. I once drank with Jimmy T, and we were just at a party, and we were just getting wine drunk, talking about just everything. And off to the side, there's a Hispanic man that walks by, and he was like, "Do you know who that is?" I said, "No, I have no idea who that is." It's like, he just got back from Fiji. He just won. This was Jam Jam. And I'm like, I hate you, Jimmy T. Because I spent all 44 just hoping that Jimmy T was just lying, or just so drunk that he thought. So Jimmy T, great. We've got Jimmy Johnson, who we talked about a few days ago, was supposed to be on another season. So we do get him here. We've got Chase Rice, who becomes famous afterwards. Did you know who Chase Rice was when you watched this? Did you know that Chase Rice was famous at any point before right now?
Yes, I did. I had heard, because I used to live in Nashville, so I was aware of Chase Rice, but I totally forgot that he talked about like music, and like, he plays a song at the reunion. I did not know who Jimmy Johnson was. I was 11 years old So I was not like into sports like I am now. So now it's like, yo, Jimmy Johnson, right? But that
Jimmy
was
Johnson and Chase Rice and Brenda the cheerleader. Like we've got
that's
everyone.
right. The
Everyone
star of
here.
Baywatch. I don't know if you've seen Baywatch
Yes.
with the
um. So the Medallion of Power in practice. So we hang it up. We go. In practice, I don't think it's the worst twist that's ever existed on the show. Obviously, I think that's do or die. Like I feel like do or die is the worst thing. Even though it worked both times,
right.
They
with fire.
Yeah, you're playing with fire. I think it worked and they let it go, but I still think that's way worse than Medallion of Power because at the end of the day, what Brenda says, you shouldn't be worried about what happens later. You should be worrying about winning challenges now. So just use it. And worst case scenario, you still lose. But in concept, Medallion of Power, where does it kind of fall for you?
I think it falls in terms of twists. It falls towards the bottom. I do like it. It does have a big impact on the game in the sense that whoever uses it really just wins the challenge, but it doesn't have an individual impact, right? It's like, you're not affecting somebody else's game directly, or it's not screwing over somebody's game like the do or die does, or like the Mr. Beast coin could have, right? This is just like, it's a whatever twist. It's like this tribe wins the challenge. Okay, you still have 10 or 9 people to figure it out. So it's not screwing anybody over, but it's not like that interesting.
Yeah. And I think I knew, I don't know when I don't know exactly when I texted you, but I remember texting someone like early this morning, just being like, the wall, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And the premiere just goes on forever, and it's not even an extended premiere. I don't think it's an extended premiere. I think it's just a normal size premiere. That just feels like it goes on forever. But we're introduced to a lot of the characters that we're not going to have to care about the rest of the season. Specifically, Shannon, who doesn't like Kelly because she's a charity case, and we meet Nyanka, who doesn't like Kelly because she's a charity case, and we meet Sash, who doesn't like Kelly because she's a charity case. And we meet Kelly, who is just a normal person with one leg. We on the older tribe, we have Wendy Jo, one of the more famous first boots in the history of the show, I would say. We already talked about the Jimmies. We meet Marty, and we get to see Tyrone react, which is just that is all that Tyrone does this season. For you, as an 11-year-old, and I guess as you've watched this season more. Who are the characters that stand out in that premiere?
Well, the first one is Fabio. He gets the first confessional of the season, and it's like, here's a guy who knows how he appears, right? He's a very young guy. He's 21, but he's very smart. And so he's like, I'm going to play this dumb guy. Jimmy Johnson stands out. Holly is someone who I took note of right away. She doesn't have a giant premiere. But she does have, she is important very early on. So I would say that those, and Nyanka, I would say those were the people that were standing out to me from this premiere.
And in my notes, I have Shannon sucks and somehow isn't the worst person on the season. And just kind of, we'll briefly touch on Shannon. We'll kind of jump ahead to his boot. But it's just very clear. And even today, like I realized he says like, "Oh, I didn't want to bring certain stuff up, but I might have," or something like that. And then you don't know what he's really talking about.
Yeah.
And then when he does say that, it's like, oh, okay, this is probably what he was referencing. Shannon has always given me Ben Browning vibes, even though.
Oh
yeah.
Well, we just talked about the other day. I'm getting all the great people.
Yeah, all the real when before Jeff clarified it recently to make me look stupid. When Jeff first made the no villains comment years ago, I was like, yeah, he's talking about people like this. He doesn't want actual monsters back. And then, of course, a couple of days ago, he name dropped certain people. It's like, oh no, that's not.
That's who we want.
I was actually supporting you.
Yeah.
But Nyanka is another prime example of someone who just is a recruit and a shitbag from jump. And what bothers me is recently there's been like a Nyanka renaissance where there are a lot of people, they're like, well, she was just misunderstood, we didn't see everything. It's like, I feel like even if we didn't, she's still saying this. One,
Yeah.
is Bianca good TV for you? And two, is she the villain of the season?
Yes, she is good TV for me. She drives a lot of the action of the season. She is someone who I feel like Jeff is referring to that we don't need on Survivor anymore. However, at a point in time, like characters like her did serve a purpose, right, for the show. And so, yeah, I do think that she makes for interesting TV. There's no doubt about it. And I would say that she is the villain of the season. I mean, she's the main character, you could say, of the season.
Confessional
She gets
wise,
the
yeah,
most
the
confessionals
confessional
of the
wise.
season. Yeah. So yeah, in terms of villain, yeah, she is the villain of the season, for sure.
If she didn't quit, she gets potentially the Corinne spot on Caramoan. I don't doubt that. I could see that happening.
I definitely think we would have seen her return at some
Yes.
point.
Oh, for sure. And
Yeah.
well, we're going to talk about her. I think right around season 9 or 10 is where I start to forget tribe names. And then there are a few in the teens that I remember, the ones in China, the ones in Gabon, and Tocantins. Obviously, heroes versus villains. Here, the only reason I remember both tribe names is because of the LaFleur dance.
Yep.
And because Ben eventually refers to himself as the King of Espada. And that's the only reason I remember either one of these tribe names here. And Purple Kelly is also born. The meme of Purple is born in this season. I know there's not much to talk about with Purple Kelly, but thoughts on Purple Kelly pre what we're going to get to.
Well, so she was like a childhood crush of mine, Purple Kelly. So like I had always had like an affinity for her while I was watching the season. And when you're watching it, I mean, I'm not speaking for everybody, but when I first watched it, I wasn't keeping track of like confessionals or edit or anything. So I didn't realize just how poorly she was shown on the show, right? It's just like, oh, she's just kind of there. And I like characters that are just kind of there, right? Like I like to give love to the characters who are more on the side. So she's always been another one that stood out to me, not from a character standpoint, but just from like, it's fun to like, be a fan of this person before it was cool to, stand the purple people, right? Like this was the original right here.
She has a moment this season where it's when they're at the volcano and she references Nyanka taking off Fabio and Chase goes, you don't talk much. And she's like, yeah, it's weird, right? And he was like, yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it is weird.
I also love when Jeff says, give us 20 years of wisdom.
Well,
right.
20
like,
years, I just have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. Which is fair. If I was 20 years old, I wouldn't know what the hell is going on. Like
Fabio doesn't know what's going on.
He doesn't know what's going on. So. Yeah. So yeah.
Jimmy Johnson pulls a Gabe in Mark cases and is basically here. I'm here for the experience. I'm not here for the money. I don't think that people are going to vote for me to win, which is something that Dan also uses later. And I think in both situations, they're probably not winning, not because of anything other than they were not going to win. In Jimmy Johnson's case, I do buy that he was there for the experience. There's nothing in my mind that thinks that Jimmy Johnson thought he was going to do well here, and especially in this season. So I guess going off of that, how do you appreciate the fact that someone is on a cast at this late in the show's history and saying things like that? Or is it like, well, okay, why is he even there then?
It is kind of like, why is he even there? Right. It's like, we got him on the show. I mean, he's wanted, like you said, he tried to apply before. So he's wanted to be on the show. And he is significantly older than a lot of the rest of this tribe, even though they are the older tribe. A lot of them are in like their 40s and he's in his 60s. So, his body is really not cut out for this. And he knows that, and he asks to go home, really. So as cool in theory as it is to have somebody like Jimmy Johnson on the show, it does feel like a spot was taken up. However, his presence does make for an interesting like rivalry or storyline when Marty, you know, the glitter in the eyes, and he starts getting jealous, and then Jimmy T was like, "You never listened to me, you know, put me in, coach."
Put me in, coach. It's like,
put me in, coach.
What is this? why are you doing
this? He shouldn't really have been on this, taking up a spot, but he gave us some good reactions from other people. So I appreciate his presence here.
And speaking of reactions, we have Tyrone the GOAT, even just like the Wendy Joe vote where she says how old she is, and Tyrone just makes a little offhanded comment. Just watching him observe people is so good. And I don't wish much from this season, but I wish we had gotten more Tyrone.
I really wish we had gotten more Tyrone. I wish that he didn't go home so early, because he is a great character. He gives great sound bites and reactions. So he's one of those characters that he's forgotten to time. Like, most people are not going to remember who Tyrone is, but man, if you go back, you're going to see some gems, right? You're going to get some great character moments from someone like him.
The other thing that happens I think it happens in episode 2, the beginning of episode 2. And I guess the last time I watched this, I just thought it was an extended storyline, but similar to a lot of things that happen this season, it just kind of happens, and then we never talk about it again until we do. And that's Holly and Dan's shoes, which all happens within the span of like 3 minutes without it's in the same segment where she is feeling on the outs. She, thinks people are talking about her. She takes Dan's shoes, she does thing with it, and then immediately Dan can't find her shoe. This is all happening at rapid fire. Yeah. And then the moment where she like puts her hands on Dan and says, "Hey, I did this," and Dan, says what he has to say. I don't know why my PlayStation.
The PlayStation keeps going off.
Yeah. One, why did Dan bring those shoes to the island in the first place? That's an obvious question.
Yeah.
The obvious question. But two, Holly is being shown to like not be all there early on in the season. So just everything dealing with Shoegate, and then Holly up until she decides not to quit, because this is something that she's gonna that actually is gonna come back a little later when the quits actually happen.
Yeah. So like I said, Holly is someone who stood out to me. Holly's always been a personal favorite of mine. I did not remember how crazy, let's just say, she was in the first few days of the show. She's like just getting into it with everybody, throws the shoes. Like I don't love when property is destroyed, but it would have made for like a great arc if Holly had actually won the show, right? Like, this would be a really good span. Yeah, why is Dan bringing those shoes? How much did he say they were? Like
$1,600, I believe.
1,600
or something like that.
Alligator shoes, like,
and he kept them under the shelter too. So like they're already probably getting dirty at this point.
They're gonna get wet. Yeah, so like you can't bring anything onto Survivor. Obviously, Dan has no idea what he's doing. So that was his mistake to bring him in the first place. They would have gotten destroyed one way or another.
Before we continue, I do kind of want to talk about the perception of Nicaragua, because you look at almost anyone's lists, whether on YouTube or just other fans' personal lists, and Nicaragua is usually, fairly close to the bottom. I know some people would have it at the very bottom, which I think is crazy. But what do you think it is, just from someone who is higher on it? What do you think it is that has once again kept it this low for this long? Because 21 was over a decade ago.
It's a long time. Yeah. Well, part of it, I think it started with the fact that it is following up Heroes versus Villains, which is an extremely tough act to follow. So anything that came after that is always going to be looked at a little bit less. But not everybody who's watched the show now has watched it in order. So even you still see people who probably have watched or weren't there at the time have this season so low. And I think maybe part of that is just the general perception of the season, like word of mouth. Hey, the season's not that good. The players are not that good, right? It's not interesting gameplay. Well, it's interesting, but it's not good, right? And there aren't many characters that really stand out or come back, right? That's a big thing for a season is returning players. If there's a lot of returning players on a season, even if it's not all that great, people are going to remember it at least or be higher on it. So I think a combination of all that, people aren't satisfied with the winner. People aren't satisfied with the double quits. So there's a lot going against this season. And like I said, a large part of that is where it came in the airing of the series.
In my notes, in order, it goes Nyanka and the Clue and Kelly's leg. The next line is, I hate this season. And the third line is, are we supposed to feel bad for Nyanka? Because once again, we're kind of just throwing a lot of stuff about her within a couple of segments.
Yeah.
They win the reward challenge, or it's immunity and reward, but they win the challenge or bring it back to camp. Kelly Bruno sees the parchment. Nyanka does her whole thing and then goes off about it in a confessional. Once again, yes, entertaining television. As someone like you're giving us someone we want to root against.
Yeah.
But it's very similar to the Russell Hantz thing where it's like, okay, spread these around a little bit. We don't need all Nyanka all the time, because I do like, as much as Marty just doesn't do it for me, he at least is a compelling narrator, I guess.
Yeah.
By comparison to other people. Give us more Fabio, I guess. This is one of those moments, even though Nyanka is not a part of the Kelly vote because they have been swapped by that point, where I feel like she doesn't even get the comeuppance. One, because she quits, but two, because Kelly's just gone. Kelly's just gone.
Yeah.
Just thoughts on the whole Kelly Nyanka one-sided rivalry.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane, because like to target somebody right from the jump, and like you said, Nyanka's not the only one to do this, but just, we can't beat them in the end, like that's not something that you want to say out loud on day one, right? Like it's like, I want to vote this person out because they're going to be too it just doesn't sound good. But then Nyanka carries it on, right? Like almost every confessional that she has about Kelly has something to do with the leg. Like I don't mind her shoving or battling with Kelly for the clue, right? Like that's part of the game. You go for it, but it's all about the leg, one shove, like all that sort of stuff is like. I think she was trying to like fill the gap. The show was trying to use her to fill the gap of Russell Hantz, because this is the only season of 19 through 22 that he's not on. And so I feel like that Nyanka was their person to fill that. It's like they're not a good person, but we need to what is Nyanka going to do next week, right? What's she going to say, right? And that's how they think people are going to
react to her.
Exactly. Yeah. And so she doesn't get her comeuppance, but in a way, the way she goes out is more humiliating than how a vote would have been. Similar thing to me for Colton, in a way where it's like he quits at least one time, right? The first one is questionable, but it's so shameful that it's like that's worse in the grand scheme of things than getting like completely blindsided.
And so the other question of, are we supposed to feel bad for her? I think that kind of answers that of like, we know that she's not going to get voted out. So we're going to give you 3 different scenes where she's having panic attacks because she's anemic and she hates the weather and all this other stuff. We get these moments, and that's when it's like, okay, I get that we're supposed to feel bad for this person in the situation, and I just don't. But like watching it today, it's like, okay, they're not, because they can't show us her getting her comeuppance. This is as close as we're going to get to that, because we have to have her on camera. We can purple Kelly because she's apparently not a great confessionalist. If we need to fill that Russell Hantz role, we need to give this person as much screen time as possible, but also make sure the audience knows she's screwed, or like we want them to basically ask in her crying. Marty. I remember the first time I watched the season, and probably the 2 times after that, where I would go online and people would say, "Oh man, Marty is like one of the only strategic people in the season." It's like, at face value, sure, sure, yes, this, Sasha and Brenda are the greatest duo in the history of the show. If that's the case, like, Marty. Oh boy. I think the greatest thing Marty did this season was the lie he told Fabio, which was
Yeah.
unnecessary, but like
Yeah.
whatever. I bought it. I didn't know who that was. So yeah, sure. I get it.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on Marty?
Okay, so time, you alluded to this. Time has been very kind to Marty, right? Like his reputation, I think, has been inflated a lot. Because I remember the first time I watched the season, I was like, who the hell is this? Like, what is this guy doing? Like, he's full of himself. He's all that. Then you start to hear the narratives that like, oh, Marty should come back. He's strategic. He got robbed. And then you watch it again, and you're like, yeah, no, like, no. That the perception of that is like, it'd be fun to see him come back, but he's not a good strategic player, right?
Yeah, and
With some of the moves that he makes, I mean, it's unreal. Like not playing the idol when Kelly B does go home. Sure, he survives the tribal council, but you cannot say, or any rational person is not going to say, oh, that was such a good move Marty made, right?
yeah,
Sitting through,
he
he made
tied
it
the
through
vote.
with him.
They could have easily just gone up and said, "Hey, let's just call audible
Yeah.
right quick and just do it." Like, why
Which
not?
that's one of the most baffling rounds of gameplay in Survivor history from everybody's perspective. How does Marty not play the idol? How are Brenda and Sash voting out Kelly B instead of Marty? Like,
Well,
I don't
because she's
care
a
that he
charity
said,
case.
yeah. It's so baffling. So Marty, he's a great character. He really is, and I think that as long as he's in the season is pretty interesting. He's not playing well. He's not doing anything that is great, but he's making for interesting strategy. It's fun to talk about all the stuff that he did.
He also has another one-sided rivalry that turns into a double-sided rivalry with Jane, which
Yeah.
I don't feel like every time I watch it's like, okay, maybe I'm going to catch it this time why there's a thing. And I still don't think that I caught it, and I don't think it's even shown. But Jane has this weird hatred for Marty, and Marty starts to lean into it towards the end of his tenure in the game by putting a big old target on Jane's back of like, yeah, everyone's going to vote for them. Like, I'm complimenting you, but just kind of putting it out there. Before we get to Jane, I want to talk about two other Marty moves. I guess the one when they get to the swap tribe and he just decides to tell everyone, hey, I have the idol.
Yeah.
Now, his rationale makes sense, sort of, because it's like, well, Jane's going to tell everyone anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are still ways of going about it. If you being sneaky and to show, hey, Sash, I have this, or hey, Brenda, I have this. You sitting there in camp and telling everyone at the same time, I feel like Brenda was right to think, oh, okay, yeah, that's a little arrogant. Like, you're just going to tell us.
Especially because he does it with his original tribe, right? He shows them the idol. So it's like, you weren't doing that because you thought Jane was going to do, right? Like the first time you did it just to like kind of show off. So now when you do it a second time, it's hard. You can come up with a different reason, but I don't know if I believe you, right?
And then the second thing is the Sash deal of, I'll give you this as to like solidify something. And we just learned last season, don't do it. Just don't do it. I don't care. And I went on a weird rant last night where it's like, I don't care that JT didn't know who Russell. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Just let them vote him out. Just let them. If you think this is the women's alliance thing is real, just let them vote out Russell. So what? Here, okay, you know that your days are probably numbered. Give up anything else. Don't give up the one thing in this situation that is probably going to save your ass long enough for you to win another immunity or something like that.
Yeah.
Of the Marty moves, I feel like this is probably the worst one. The tie vote one's probably up there, but for you, where's this at?
No, you're right. I think that it's above the tie vote one. It's still terrible. Because again, he could have just played it that night and not had anything to worry about. And also, what did it really gain him in the game by doing this? He survived that night, and I'm assuming he's doing it to try and build an alliance with Sash that's going to carry through the game, right? But that doesn't happen. He goes home 2 votes later, where he's the backup vote at the merge anyway. So it's like, what did this gain him He could have idled somebody else. Well, I mean, Jill still goes home anyway, but it's like, I don't think that it gained him very much. It's so risky. It wasn't worth it.
If anything, it probably takes a target off of your back if you just play it
Just
during the
play
red. You'll go home. It's like, okay, now I have nothing, and that's it.
Yeah, and now you're giving it to somebody else. Now somebody else has your idol that you don't know how that can affect you later on in the game. It ends up serving Sash pretty well. Plays it holds on to it. So yeah, just why give it away? I don't know.
Funniest moment of the season for me is basically anything dealing with Dan, but specifically during the water challenge of throwing the ball and then jumping into the water, with I guess my second place would be him in the Gulliver's Travels.
In the chair. Yeah.
I really enjoyed Dan this time around. I don't know why. Dan's not someone that I've ever really paid attention to, but I found myself laughing at almost everything that he said, whether it was PC or not. I didn't really care. Just felt like, yes, I would also just be, if I was a rich guy from New York City, I would be a curmudgeon about all this stuff as well, especially if I have shit knees.
Yeah, he's interesting. That's all I can say about. Yeah, he's like a 60-something-year-old, like Italian New Yorker who knows who he knows, right? Like
who knows who he knows. Yep.
So everything he says is like, I don't know if you're serious or like I don't know what's behind what you're saying, and like he's another purplish person on this season. Like he's around, but he does average less than one per episode.
He can't be involved in anything. He can't do anything.
Yeah, he's just not involved. And then so you start out with the Holly thing at the beginning of the season, then he kind of goes the whole season, not too much, and then like perks up again at Final Tribal out of nowhere and just like lays into them. And it's like
I didn't know Sash had a blinking thing until he pointed it out.
Me neither. I didn't know that Sash promised you anything, right? Yeah. Like what did you expect from
Fabio Sash? Was a boy, yeah. The merge heist with Nyanka kind of stealing all the stuff and Alina being Alina, the dirt squirrel. The dirt squirrel and Nyanka, well, it's more so the Nyanka, and eventually we get to this tribal council, and it's one of those moments where it's like, please just vote her out. And Jeff is even sitting there saying, you think you have a good chance? It's like, yeah. And I honestly believe that she could have won in certain situations this season, which is insane.
It is insane.
But why does Benry call her a dirt squirrel?
I don't know. That's another one that kind of came out of nowhere. She is on Shannon's like side of things. So like to begin with, and like that never got off of her. She was never able to like shake that and like get off the bottom. So I don't know if it had something to do with that or what, because like we didn't get much from Alina in terms of like gameplay or like sneakiness.
Tribal, or like, she does not want to vote for Fabio because he's a kid.
That's right.
She doesn't want to vote for Fabio because he's a kid, and that's it.
Yeah, he's not a man. So I don't know. I mean, there had to be something that we just like didn't see.
And that's the thing is like this. We're now getting into the territory, and I think it's going to peak in the 30s of. We just have all this stuff going on. We'll show you some stuff. We won't show you some other stuff because we got to pay attention to the big moves and this stuff.
Yeah.
Game Changers probably being the most egregious of it all. But like there are just a lot of things going on this season that we don't know why Nyanka doesn't like Fabio. And I feel like even if it is dumb, whatever it is that she doesn't like him for, I feel like they would at least show us the moment that it happens. So it can be like, oh man, she really is overreacting. Yeah. And instead what we have is, oh, Fabio, I don't like you. It's like, but why? What did
I don't like you? We get the socks moment, like, but where did that start? Like, how did that start? And then at Final Tribal, and she's like, Fabio, you're my boy, you're my friend. Like, she votes for him. Now, where did that come from?
Where did that come from?
So that whole journey, like, we see a lot of Nyanka, but we don't see the most important part where she votes for Fabio. Like, that dynamic is so great, and it ends up paying off when she votes for him to win. So it's like, I wish we explored that way more in detail than her relationships with anybody, with Tyrone or with Kelly B or whoever, right?
But we do kind of lose Alina here. We get the Brenda vote. No, we get the Marty vote and then the Brenda vote.
Yeah.
And this is where the season really just like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who's working with who. I know that Chase is somehow in the middle.
Yeah.
Chase is in the middle all the time, and we're going to get to what Jeff says about Chase going into the finale. But Chase is always in the middle, but he can't make a decision. He can't make his own decision, in the moment because he's kind of liked by everyone, similar to Fabio. Losing Brenda as I think the de facto strategic villain in the season, once again, just kind of sucks the air out of it. And then that's not even talking about what happens in the next episode. Based off of what you saw of Brenda Lowe 1.0, did we need a 2.0?
I kind of do. Did we need it? Absolutely not. But I do think that she was a worthy person to bring back, because she did have a strategic element to her game. Like you said, she is like the strategic villain of the season, even though I disagree with the moves that she's making, like voting off Kelly B is crazy. She's at least really playing the game, and a lot more than a lot of these other people. And she is a villain, right? She's like cocky and confident. So it is kind of satisfying when she does go home. So it's like, oh, how could someone like this learn on their second time? Obviously in Caramoan, knowing what we know now, no, we didn't need to bring her back again. So, but at the time,
she was on the show for like 6 weeks. So
exactly, it's like they brought her back and didn't do anything with her until she does it herself, and you'll get to that. So yeah, she's a super memorable player from this season. Like she was one of the people that I remembered the most coming out of Nicaragua.
We get to the infamous moment, the moment that I feel like most people, when they say they're down on the season, I feel like this is the moment they kind of go to. More, even though as a whole for me, it's never been good. But yes, just from, and I know with the benefit of hindsight, I get Kelly quitting. I do. Like I get it. Yeah, she has no clothes. And I do think that's why she votes for Fabio, because Fabio gives her his jacket.
Yes.
So I've always, basically after the first time watching, I've always understood Kelly quitting. Nyanka, it bothers me obviously for the reasons of, hey, we won the reward challenge. You're not trying to help out the tribe. You're not trying to help out potentially yourself. Like, oh, now you have a tarp and rice. Maybe you'll stay. The fact that Holly has to go over and gives her the look of like, what the fuck are you doing? She enjoys Gulliver's Travels along with Ben. It looks like they're actually enjoying that movie. Oh, he's so funny. It's like, oh, I mean, I like Jack Black, but no.
I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's awesome. Yeah. Like,
I'm sure it's better than Jack and Jill, which I'll get to in a couple days. And then still just like, I just felt like it was a celebration of my last day here, and it just feels gross. And when she brings up the race thing too, it made me feel gross. It was like, oh yeah, I'm the last African American on the cast. I'm like, yeah, I would have gone for Tyrone.
You were the reason Tyrone went home in the first place.
But it's very similar to what Missy did in Island of the Idols, where at like final 8 or whatever, she was like, Jeff, you didn't bring up the fact that I'm the first Black woman to do this, and it's like 2 episodes ago, I hated your guts more than almost anybody else in that episode. Almost. I don't give a shit that you're the first Black woman to do whatever in the spot, because you've shown yourself to be, and it's the same thing with Nyanka here. It's like, I don't care. The fact that she brought that up made me dislike her even more, because don't bring that up in a spot where you're doing
wrong.
Yeah, you know what you're doing. You looking at Alina, Brenda, and Marty's faces over here, they're all crying their eyes out. One thing I hate about the Nicaragua Ponderosa videos are they kind of forgive them early.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I'm like, no, why would you talk to these people?
That's one of the Ponderosa videos that I think I watched a lot, like back in the day, just because it is like, and they're like, oh, well, it was raining. Like, we wanted to give them, a warm welcome. So yeah, they do kind of forgive them. And it's not really brought up much. Not that they're in the game anymore, but like, you know, when we're at, I don't know, final tribal, like Jeff isn't mentioning, now let's bring up a quitter. You know, he's like, everybody kind of treats them the same after that. You know, so for the most part, right? Like they're not outwardly saying,
except for the tribal right after they quit, where it's like, and then the two quit.
Yeah, they bring that up. Yeah.
This is for me. Honestly, for me, when that happened, it's like, okay, I know I'm almost done now. Like it was the reverse today of like, okay, we've hit this.
That's right.
Let's get through the Benry vote, and you know, we're you know, good for Jane. Oh, good for Jane. So we get to the Jane boot episode, and she's pissed and she puts out the fire. And you know, I do enjoy Jane and Holly more than probably everybody else in this final five or six.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, it's like, yeah, good for Jane, but also I still really don't care if any of you win. Like, I guess I'm rooting for Holly. By the time we start getting to Endgame, did you have anyone? Where were you kind of at?
I didn't really. I wasn't really rooting for Fabio. You know, I know he was the underdog, but it was like, here's this guy that's just kind of falling ass backwards through the game. Like you said, Chase is wishy-washy. Like he's not someone that you're connecting with too much. So Holly was my favorite, and Jane really like takes a nosedive with her reputation in this episode. So like any likability, any rootability is just completely gone. Now, that's not true because she ends up winning the fan favorite somehow. Because which like I get it, but it's like, my God, her exit is wild. And I was like, man, Jane, I just lost like a lot of favor for you.
I guess because of where I was at that moment, it's like, that's why I said good for Jane. It's like, okay, whatever. Like I'm happy you're this upset that you're gonna do this. Like, screw these guys too. And you can probably tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that I am. This is the only final three ever where it's all guys.
Yeah.
Like ever. Like, I know we have the final two in Cagayan, but like, in a few other places. But
but in the final
we have an all male final three, which is crazy to me. And like, good for them. But even in that spot, we lose Dan. Holly is a heartbreaker because we're rooting for her to win. This is where I start to root for Fabio, because it's like, okay, I really don't want Sash to win, and Chase would be fine, especially after his final tribal performance, which we'll get to. But I guess I am rooting for the underdog. The problem is when the finale starts and Jeff is doing a recap of the season, he's talking about the final five.
Mm-hmm.
He shits on all of them. Holly, who wanted to quit on day 5, blah blah blah. Dan can't do shit. Sash is, just a schemer, but not like a fun schemer. Like he's a slimy schemer. You got Chase Rice. What did he say for Chase Rice? He said every person Chase ever aligned with, he voted out. And then he's got Fabio. Oh, he's aloof and this, that, and the other. It's like, damn, give these people some credit. We have to root for someone.
Yeah, we have to be satisfied with something.
Yeah. And so during the finale, it's like, okay, yeah, I guess I'm rooting for Fabio to get to this point. And we get to the final 3. Now, just going based off of what we see, I think Chase is probably doing the best, but Fabio is fighting too. Mm-hmm. Going into that final 3, were you convinced of someone winning?
I really wasn't, because like I didn't notice any type of like winner edit back then, and I still don't know that I notice it now. I don't think that any one of these guys really gets like if I was gonna vote for somebody, like I'm so torn, like I change all the time. I would vote for either Chase or Sash. Like I don't think Fabio for me personally. Just watching the show, if I'm out there, it's a completely different story. But just like watching the game, my vote would be between those two. And it still shocks me that Sash didn't get a vote, and that's why the mortgage gate thing.
Yeah,
could be true.
the theory. Yeah, it could. It's one of those Survivor conspiracy theories that I think there's at least something there. I don't know if it's everything, but I think
He may not have been disqualified, but there could be some reason why nobody wanted to vote for him, because like he does get like shit on at Final Tribal for sure, but there are some people who give him respect from the game. Like Purple Kelly gets up and her only question is to Sash, and like has him explain, why, and she's like, "Oh, great answer." Right. Like, so I expected somebody up there to give him a vote. Looking at it now, I'm not surprised, I guess, because
and so this time around, I've been looking at jurors and figuring out why, just based off of what we see, why they would. And we talked about why Purple Kelly votes for Fabio. We kind of know why Brenda votes for Chase. We know why Holly and Jane vote for Chase. Like, I did this yesterday with Heroes vs. Villains. I did it with Samoa. Where it's like you can kind of just look at the jury and be like, yeah, that makes sense why they would vote for.
Yeah, why Marty votes for. Yeah.
The exception of Lita, which is like Lita, it was a weird way. And then Marty thinking that Chase was stupid was also out of nowhere. I guess Dan also thought Chase was stupid.
Yeah. It's like Chase, I think he's an above average Survivor player. Right, yes. Like, and even at the time,
he owns up to it. He owns up to his moves. Yeah,
So I guess we could talk about his Final Tribal performance now. It's really, really good. Like, it is one of the best losing finalist performances because, like you said, he does flip some people. Like, he flips Alina's vote, to my knowledge. I think he flips somebody else's vote. So. Like, I think it was supposed to lose 7-2 and ended up losing 5-4. So, especially with Alina's question, he answers it so well. Yes. And so he does a great job. Like, Sash doesn't really have a good Final Tribal. Fabio's was okay, but he didn't have much of a game to pitch. So Chase really sold himself, and he was aware. Like you said, he says, "I own up to it. I was wishy-washy, but here's what I was thinking. Here's why I did what I did." So yeah,
I'm not dumb. I'm not dumb. Like, I knew
not dumb.
Doing. Yeah. I felt bad, and yes, I did kind of, but ultimately, that's a part.
He knew what he was doing, and he answers Marty's question well too, because what the hell was that?
Like, I'm not answering that question.
No, it's either you or Fabio.
Or I'm not going to answer it. I'm not going to sit here and antagonize anybody on the jury, and I'm not going to sit here and call myself stupid. Where was it? Oh, Fabio is answering the questions as Fabio should, with the exception of like when he has his breakdown. But even before that, where he's trying during the Dan round, he's like, guys, we should probably keep Dan. Let's get rid of Holly. Like, those are the moments where you kind of look at and say, okay, yeah, Fabio knows what's going on. There's a Freud question at one of the tribals, and Fabio like knows the math behind the science behind it, and it's like, okay, yes, we are seeing glimpses of this, but ultimately, despite Chase putting on a great performance, and because the two quitters are at this point still allowed to vote, Fabio wins. I don't hate it, like, especially in this season. It's like, okay, whatever, we're done. But Fabio wins in a close vote against future country singer. Probably was able to take care of his mom afterwards, Chase Rice. I felt like this jury, what we're shown on screen, is way more pissy than the Samoa one, but that's just my final thing on Samoa. It's like, okay, the people weren't upset. Final thoughts on Nicaragua before we get to the final questions. There's no way I'm making Nicaragua go an hour, so that's why.
No. We're good with this. It holds a special place for me because it was my first full season with new players. Like, I started at the end of Samoa and then watched Heroes vs. Villains. This is when I came into Survivor. So Nicaragua was my first with an all new cast for a full season. And watching it with the new lenses later on in life, I understand why it's disliked. The gameplay is not good, but it is like I don't know. It's a fun season, right? It's got a fun winner. It has a unique identity to it.
It
is like a Gabon. Yeah. Well, I love Gabon. But like with this, I don't think it's anywhere near like the bottom tier of sea. Like Thailand, it is so far ahead of Thailand.
Yeah, and
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Through 21 seasons, right now, I have it. Where are we at? I have it 20th out of 21.
But it is ahead of Thailand.
It is ahead of Thailand and right below Guatemala. Who would your ally be this season?
My ally I would probably want to align with Holly. I think I would like want to do like a, you know, like what Chase was. Like I want to work with the older women. And then maybe vote them out at the end if they're too big of a jury threat, right? Like Holly didn't look like a jury threat earlier in the game, but then as it went on, she did. So, you know, but I would probably want to work with Holly the most.
Holly and Jane for me as well. Yeah, and also I just maybe work with Benry so I can learn what a dirt squirrel is. But the final question, something that the modern day fandom would not like about Survivor Nicaragua.
I think people would be underwhelmed with the winner. There's a lot of things that they wouldn't like, but that comes to mind because I think Chase and Sash do play a much more dominant game. They're the ones controlling the action. And as Fabio, as good as his act was, as smart as he wasn't doing, his stuff wasn't effective. And people don't vote for him because they're like, you tricked us. Oh my gosh. They're like, no, we just liked you and you won 3 immunities to get to the end. So I think that a lot of people would feel like dissatisfied, especially if we got like this same edit here, right? Where it's not like if we saw more of Fabio's inner workings, maybe it would make more sense, but it's a hard story to tell when your winner isn't really doing much in the game.
Yeah, I would say, and I hyped this up earlier, and obviously I don't support what's being said, but as much as I found it funny, you probably, through modern day lens, and I feel like a lot of people would be upset if they heard Dan say, you know, if you're a woman, blah, blah, blah. Because even when we get John Rocker saying it a few seasons later, it's like, oh, I can't believe he said it. It's like, here, I feel like it's almost played for laughs, which it did get a giggle out of me, but I don't think that.
No, that's not playing well. And I guess, too, to state the obvious, Shannon's comments and Nayaka with the prosthetic like that, you know, those are things that are never going to fly. It's not something that modern fans are not going to like, right? That's just like, that's obvious stuff that we're not doing in 2026. Yeah.
Well, Kyle, thank you for doing these what, 2 of the last 3.
Yeah, you got it.
I Nicaragua, it's just,
you would have been here monologuing in pain.
I haven't gone out in a week or so, and I'm going out tonight because I need to, just to kind of push me through to the next. But Kyle, once again, where can we find you on YouTube?
Ooh, the Bat Chat. That is my channel. I do Survivor, you know, player rankings, more, you know, strategy concept videos. I try to do, you know, stuff, talk about some things that haven't been touched on before, but also do stuff like the player rankings.
And I finally, I went and listened to a few, and yes, yeah. Oh, I didn't know I did subscribe.
No, I saw you. Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
Of course. So thank you to everyone in chat. I know that was a quicker one, but it's Nicaragua. Get over it. Yeah. It might be the same thing for the next couple of days. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for Redemple Temple, aka Survivor Redemption Island.